Hello everyone and welcome back to This Day in History. And tonight, a little bit different format than the usual look back at a specific day in history to take a look at the modern context. As I record this video on July 31st, it is very likely that within 7 days of now, we will know who Joe Biden has picked to be his running mate. Or we'll be learning the pick within hours. Joe Biden announced earlier this week, the week of July 26th through August 1st, that he would announce his nominee for president the week of August 2nd, the first week in August, who his running mate is going to be. And let's get this out of the way. Joe Biden is absolutely going to pick a female to be his running mate. He made that commitment in his last debate of the primary season with Bernie Sanders. And there are two names we know it will not be. Three, in fact. We know it will not be Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire. We know it will not be Senator Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada and Amy Klobuchar. All have withdrawn. Klobuchar and Cortez Masto were considered possible favorites in the early going. But Cortez Masto withdrew and declined because she is running the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee this cycle and is focused on helping Democrats win back the Senate and has a really good chance at that occurring. Klobuchar declined and said Joe Biden should pick a female of color. So, let's take a look at who some of the front runners are and where I see this at now. I think that Mayor Bottoms of Atlanta has kind of fallen off the potential, top tier candidates. I really think her stock has fallen. But as her stock has fallen, another name has really risen, and that is former ambassador and national security advisor Susan Rice, who served in the Obama administration, was a very close confidant of President Obama, and her and Joe Biden have a great working relationship. And some people say that may be the thing working most in Rice's favor is the fact that her and Biden have a relationship to begin with, and Biden trusts her. Trusts her. He's already very comfortable with her. Senator Kamala Harris, who, in my opinion, is the likely front runner, is just senator from California, has a huge social media following, a lot of positive news stories about her this week, and a lot of really, if you look online, there has been stories out of quote-unquote Biden world trying to really knock her down off the tier, and it's been a concerted effort by the media to not fall for this, and really elevate, her. I don't think Kamala Harris is the right pick for Joe Biden. And this has, my thing is, I don't think her own candidacy for president was all that impressive. She had a really good out-of-the-gate performance, and then it just kind of fell flat. Her candidacy was always going for some new gimmicky thing, and I really was disappointed in her candidacy, and I had high hopes for her candidacy in the early going, so I don't think she would be a good pick. And also, Joe Biden's going to be a one-term president. Just his age, and I think Joe Biden is seeing this as his last act of public service to the United States. 4 years to get America back on the right track and then hand it over to a competent successor. If he picks Kamala Harris, the minute his hand leaves the Bible, she becomes the presumptive frontrunner for 2024 and has to start campaigning hard for it and raising the necessary funds and building up, a reputation of her own. Not after the midterms in 2022. So that's the problem with picking Harris. I think while Joe Biden has said wonderful things about Elizabeth Warren, I believe that Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren, while they agree on many issues, their differences are very strong, and that they would be rivals within a year of him taking office. And you cannot have a president and vice president on separate policy islands battling against each other. And that leaves two people that you hear a lot of buzz about. A name that has emerged in recent weeks is Representative Karen Bass of California, who was a community organizer, a state legislator, and then Speaker of the California Assembly, and is now a member of Congress. She is the head of the Congressional Black Caucus, and really her profile has risen dramatically in the past few weeks with the nationwide attention on Black Lives Matter and the speculation that she might be the running mate for Joe Biden. She has flatly said that she would not run in 2024. So she and Joe Biden could run on the theme of, we are running for 4 years to restore dignity and honor to the White House, to get America back on a semblance of normalcy, and to turn the Democratic Party over to a new generation in 2024. So that is a positive of picking her. And Val Demings, another representative. She is a representative from the state of Florida, is a former police chief of the Orlando Police Department, and was one of the impeachment managers in the House impeachment of President Trump, and is a rising star within the Democratic Party. Obviously, she's from Florida. That is a state that Donald Trump absolutely must win if he's going to win re-election. And she could help Joe Biden in the Sunshine State of Florida. But the drawbacks with picking Demings is she is a representative, and she has only served 2 years in the House of Representatives. So some people may be like, does she have the necessary experience to be one heartbeat away from the presidency? And I am biased. My far and away favorite is Senator Tammy Duckworth of the state of Illinois. She lost both of her legs in combat for the United States of America in Iraq. She then, after losing her legs, got medical waivers to continue to serve. After that, she continued on to serve fellow veterans in the line of public service in Veterans Affairs roles in the state of Illinois and in the state of, on the national level, in the Obama administration. She resigned from that Veterans Affairs position to go back to Illinois and run for the United States Congress, and was elected to the United States Congress, and then in 2016 she was elected to the United States Senate. She has earned a PhD along the way since losing her legs, given birth to 2 children, and gave birth to one of her children while serving in the United States Senate, and brought her baby onto the floor of the United States Senate to make the point that women can have a career and be active mothers involved in their children's life. She has pushed for legislation that designates areas in airports where mothers can nurse their children, because she experienced this going to Washington from her Illinois congressional district. There was nowhere for her to nurse her child before getting on a plane, and it was very cumbersome to go into a bathroom, which was the place she had to nurse her child at the time. So the nursing stations in airports is thanks to the work of Senator Duckworth. Senator Duckworth earned her PhD while serving in the United States Congress and after losing both of her legs. Tucker Carlson has attacked her relentlessly on his show. He feels threatened by her and called her a coward and a fraud. This is a man who never served his country in the military, calling a woman who lost both of her legs a coward and someone who hates America. Talk about irony. So I think that she would be a great pick in that respect. So those are the front runners and my favorite. If I had to say who do I think it will be at this moment, I believe that Joe Biden is likely to pick Senator Harris of California. There's a lot of buzz around her, and there's a lot of pressure from prominent Harris supporters to pick her, and she has a lot of allies in the media. And I think in the end that may help her tremendously. And you have seen some quote-unquote negative stories come out about Representative Bass this evening that were likely oppo dumps by the Harris people. I did listen to a political podcast earlier this week called Hacks on Tap that David Axelrod hosts with Mike Murphy, who was Romney's campaign, one of his big advisors in 2012, and of course Axelrod was the manager of Barack Obama's political career. I mean, he was the man that made Obama, and they do a podcast. And in the podcast, Murphy, who is based out of California, said if you took a secret ballot of California Democratic politicians of who they would pick between Harris and Bass, he said it would be 2/3 in favor of Bass. So I think this was an acknowledgement by the Harris camp that, insiders may push Harris off the ticket, and they needed to get something negative about Bass out there and quick. But I think in the end, Biden is going to pick Harris, and it'll be Biden and Harris as your Democratic